Hello, today's video we're going to talk about fuel costs, living expenses, food, what I spend on food, and we're also going to do an interview with a wannabe van lifer. So this is where we are today. Lovely spot in the woods. A couple of other cars. And I've travelled here to interview a guy called Spudman. So that's what we're going to do in a bit. But first of all, I want to talk to you about the living costs and fuel costs of living full-time van life. Right, so I've just filled up with fuel, and what I can tell you is last week, that is in 7 days, I used £17 something in fuel. So over a week I used £17 in fuel, staying local to this area, travelling about, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles each day. So that's a sort of general idea of what I'm spending per week, and I'd say that's about average. I'd say about £20 a week on fuel, because I do move around daily. So today I'm going to go off and meet a friend. I've just filled up, and I'm expecting that to cost me around about £70 to £90 in fuel, so we'll see. Right, so the drive last night was a little bit too much. I stopped in a lay-by, spent the night here. It's nothing special, but I'll just show you where we are. And this is it. Let me just turn the camera around, give you a better view. But yeah, just a standard lay-by, nothing special. Now, one thing I will say is when I do sleep in these lay-bys, it's not normally the traffic noise that wakes me up. It's cars that pull in and stop behind me or around the same area. It's stopping vehicles that normally wake me up, because I want to know who it is and why they're stopping. Are they going to come try and nick me fuel or anything else, nick bits off my van? So that's what concerns me most. It's not really the traffic noise. But I had a good night's sleep. I did get woken up a couple of times in the night or early morning, because there were a few lorries here, and I did hear cars start and stop. So but all's good. Moving on now. You've requested that I make a real van life video about the costs of van life, and I want to try and explain that to you, why I don't do that, or why I did one. I think I did one, and I haven't done another one since, because it's a very difficult thing to actually do. Let me explain anyway. What have I been out to buy today? I think I've just spent, here's the receipt. I'm in Aldi. I don't know the difference between Aldi or Lidl. So I normally get confused. £37.91 is what I've spent there. Just show you that. I don't know if you can even see that. Can you see that? That's really bad, isn't it? £37.91 anyway. So what did I buy? I got some mushrooms. Right, so I'm going to visit a friend. So I've got two rump steaks, hence the mushrooms. I've got a double pack of bacon. I've got a big box of tea bags. I've got a big bag of pasta. I've got some diced chicken, so that was going to make a curry, that. And that should be enough for 2. I've got a big bag of frozen chips. I know I've already got a bag of those chips in the freezer, and I've got a bag of long grain rice. I've also got a couple of litres of milk. Right, so that would cover me for, the curry would normally last me for 2 days. Obviously the steak would last me a day, and what else have I got? That's it. So I've got 2 or 3 days food. I've also got some stuff in my cupboard as well. But the difference is what happens if I didn't buy a steak. I could have got, I think the steak was about £4 or £5. I could have got a pair of burgers, 2 burgers, probably for about £2.50. And what if I didn't buy the bacon? What if I just bought, I don't know, a pack of muesli for breakfast? So instead of paying, I don't know, £4 or £5 for the bacon, whatever that was, I don't even know how much it is. The other thing is, when I go shopping, I actually don't look at any of the prices. I just pick up what I want, and that is it. I just buy it. The only things that I really looked at the price on was the steaks, because they can vary from anything from, like, I don't know, £4 or £5 up to £10. So yeah, but it all depends on what you're actually eating, what you would normally eat at home. If I was eating at home, if I had an house, should I say, I'd be buying the exact same stuff. Nothing has changed. I don't buy anything different than what I would be buying if I lived in an house. Now, I thought that came to a bit expensive. I forgot to mention I bought a big bag of dog food, and that was nearly 10 quid. Right, so we're camped here in the woods, and I'm with a subscriber. I'll call him a subscriber, but he's more of a friend. So I've come over to his neck of the woods to have a chat with him. And it's related to the previous video about, would you be happy with a camper van, or would a camper van make you happy, a motorhome, whatever you want to call it. Is that your dream? Would your dreams be fulfilled with that? So and again, it's sort of based around the fact that a lot of you guys have said YouTubers putting the van life scene on YouTube has caused a lot of the issues with the park ups, that we have sort of promoted it and made it look a good way of life. And I just want to sort of put the record straight on that. Right, so as you can see, we're sitting here eating bacon sandwiches, and we've got Spudman. He's been I'll call you a subscriber for now, but you started off as a subscriber, become a friend for a number of years, and you're disabled, aren't you?
I am, yes.
Right, quite severely disabled as well.
Yes.
And you don't want a camper van, not to make yourself happy, but you want to improve your mobility and your access to outdoors and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. I don't want to live in one. I suppose I'd become a weekend warrior. And I don't believe that a camper van will make me happy, because I'm happy as I am. I want something that will enhance my happiness by allowing me to get out more.
Yeah.
Because at the moment I'm just restricted to a car, and if I want to stop anywhere because I've become ill or tired, I have to book a hotel.
Yeah.
Or find somewhere to park up and try and sleep in a car. Whereas if I had a little motorhome or a camper van, I wouldn't have that worry anymore. I could go out and actually think, well, I can pull over and I can stop.
Yeah.
For a few hours or a few days.
Right, so as you just heard, Spudman, I almost called him by his proper name then, Spudman is disabled. He watches YouTube to sort of get an idea of what van life could sort of entail before he goes spending his money. But it's also another way for him to get out without going out. So for the people to say that YouTubers are actually promoting van life and causing harm to van life, let me just ask Spudman what he thinks about that. Give us your view on what's your opinion on YouTubers harming van life because of the publicity they put on YouTube, that saying it's a good thing. Without that, you wouldn't actually know about van life or sort of have anything really to watch on TV much, because that involves quite a lot of what you watch, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really into YouTube now. I'm watching quite a few channels. I don't like false channels. I don't like it that it's all sunsets and rainbows and unicorns and that everything's perfect. That's not really what I want to watch. I want to watch...
So he doesn't want me having bikini-clad girls in the forest. That's what he's saying.
Well, I am still waiting for Mark to wear his mankini and having a shower outside his van, which I've been saying for the last year. That's something that I think would get his views right. I don't know what kind of views, and I don't know what kind of people would watch that. But yeah, I don't want the falsehood. One of the reasons I was interested in Mark's channel is he told it how it was. He's living in his van.
Yeah.
It's normal life for Mark. It's not all about sunsets and going to fantastic places. And that's what I want to know about. Because I don't want to spend my life savings on buying a van and then going out somewhere and thinking, oh my God, it's not like it's been portrayed. Yeah. You know, there is harsh realities of being in a van.
So as Spudman says, he doesn't want to live in the van full time, but he just wants it as a means of getting out, a bit of adventure and something to sort of occupy his time and mind. And for YouTubers not to actually publicise their van life sort of lifestyle would take away something from his life as well. So, and I have quite a few people that are disabled that have said their only means of, not only for the van life scene, but for the Appleby scene. I've had a few people from Appleby say, I'm now disabled, I can't get to Appleby, I can't go there anymore, I can't ride a horse. And again, with the camper van scene, they can't actually get out, they don't want to buy a van, or they can't afford a van, but they still want to actually have something to watch that interests them. So for the YouTubers to sort of stop publicising the van life scene will take away from a certain group of people as well. So back to Spudman.
I mean, when I was in my 20s, before I become disabled, I'm a Derbyshire lad from Derbyshire. I spent most of my summers, and even some of the winters, up in the Peak District, wild camping. You know, a push bike, a tent, and I'd just go up there for the freedom. And that were in the days when you could free camp and wild camp, whatever you want to call it. And I enjoy, there are certain channels I watch now where I enjoy seeing people doing that, because it reminds me of my days when I was able to do that. So I'm like reliving my life by watching these channels. Yeah.
So you're not too interested? Sorry, I'm eating my bacon sandwich, drinking my cup of tea. This is a real live interview. We're just out here chilling and enjoying ourselves. So yeah, basically, if you got yourself a camper van, how do you think the parking situation would go as far as you getting out and about? If the government left it as it was, where you could go park up where you like, how many times do you think you'd go? If you had a camper van, how many times a month or a week do you think you'd get out and about using your van?
I'd probably be about 3 or 4 times a week.
3 or 4 times a week?
3 or 4 nights I'd spend out.
Right.
Not all at once. Maybe one night, come back and then go out.
Right, okay.
Depending on my health.
Yep. So if the government brought in a sort of pay to park scheme where camper vans had to pay to park, how would that affect you getting out and about using a camper van in realistic terms on your funding at the moment? Because you get disability, don't you?
I get a disability. I'd still want to go out, but it'd be, instead of 3 or 4 nights a week, it'd probably be 2 or 3 nights a month.
Well, that's a drastic
change. It would
change.
Be, because I couldn't afford £25 a night.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's how it goes with a lot of full-time van lifers. We couldn't afford to pay £25 a night. And we would have to move to other areas, probably more domesticated areas, normal streets and stuff like that, which is another major concern for the people trying to push for the vans in the forests and outdoors. So, yeah. Right, so today is your first real sort of outdoor adventure in a camper van and a drive in a camper van. Hopefully we're going to get you behind the wheel in a bit and give you a real drive in the van, let you drive it. So what's your first impressions of sort of coming here, places like this, having the means to actually be able to live and stay and for a night or two?
I think it'd be, well, I'm just amazed. I've never been in a motorhome before.
Yeah.
I've looked at them, but I've never actually been in one. I've never been sat in one eating bacon butties in the middle of the woods. And it's like, wow, this for me would be a game changer.
Yeah.
It would get me out of my house, because I spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in my house because of my disabilities. And this would allow me the freedom just to change my environment.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm happy, I'm content in life with what I've got.
Yeah.
But to have the freedom like I used to have when I was able-bodied, to be able to come here, park up, and just spend a night out.
Yeah.
Would be fantastic.
So that's one of the reasons I came here and spoke to Spudman, because he said all the right things in his messages to me on the previous video. That he has been messaging me for a number of years now. He has been a subscriber, friend, whatever you want to call him, for a number of years. He was one of the people happy with his life. He wasn't trying to make himself happy by buying a van. He just wanted to improve on his on his ability to be out and about and enjoying his life a little bit more, being a little bit more flexible with what he can do, where he could go, and how he could enjoy himself. So as Spudman has just said, his ability to get out and about is very limited, and he spends most of his life at home, sitting in the house, watching TV, watching YouTube and stuff like that. But having the means to get out and about and have a change of scenery could really improve his outlook on things. You're not really into the fake YouTubers that are taking a year or two out from sort of on a jolly. You're not really into that sort of scene. Why are you more into the sort of the realistic lifestyle of van life?
All got rich mummies and daddies that can fund a year or two out, going and parking on beaches, travelling down to Spain and Portugal and wherever.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's real. I think it's real for the people who are born with a silver spoon in the mouth. I think for normal people like myself and for Mark and for a lot of other people, the reality is that you're just trying to get by the best you can.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons that if we lose all the park-ups, how's that going to affect van life? Because people aren't going to afford £25 a night.
Yeah.
It's easy for people, the elderly, let's say, that are retired, got massive pensions because they grew up in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and were able to save for pensions to afford a motorhome. And they go, oh yeah, we go on campsites.
Yeah.
£175 a week.
How would you feel about going on a campsite rather than like we're here now on a sort of what we'd call more of a more forestry sort of traditional sort of van life scene, middle of nowhere type place? How would you feel more of a family campsite and parking up and going to a place like that? Would that be...
If that's the only thing I could do, I wouldn't bother buying a van.
Right.
Because for me, that's not what I want.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the site with the kids running around
Kids,
playing football.
dogs, noise, or even older people with better vans going, oh look, we've got a better van than what you've got. No, when I was younger and I was backpacking and camping, I'd go off by myself, or maybe one friend, and we'd go across the Brecon Beacons and things like that, and we'd be wild camping. I'd want that in a motorhome as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be restricted to a campsite. Maybe once or twice so I could empty the water and things like that.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to drive along like on Yorkshire moors, see a nice little lay-by, park up, and just spend a couple of days there. I don't want people around me.
So from my point of view, being a full-timer, I get a lot of criticism about not paying council tax. I don't pay council tax. I don't pay into the system, where I do pay into the system because I still pay taxes on everything I spend and buy on. Now you, as a disabled person, you've obviously got an house and you are paying in your council tax. So how do you think you would feel with people sort of discriminating against you? Because it would be discrimination because you are paying all your bills and you would come and park in a place like this to spend the night and you'd be criticised for doing so. How do you feel about that? Would you feel that you're pouncing off of society?
I wouldn't say that. Other people would say that. Other people would say, like, oh, you know, you're not paying into the system and all this lot.
Because they don't know that you own an house and you're already paying all your bills.
Yeah, I mean, I pay all my bills. I pay my television licence, my standing charges for gas, electricity, house insurance.
Yep.
So I am.
And if you bought a van, you'd also be paying the van tax and insurance and...
Yeah, van tax, insurance.
The costs of running it.
Costs of running it, diesel, petrol, whatever it is. So it's like, yeah, well, why shouldn't I buy to park up? As long as it's legal, as long as you're doing
nothing wrong. Yeah,
a legal park up.
Yeah,
you know, I can't see anything wrong with it. So what's your preference?
So obviously, you don't have a large fund to actually go out and buy exactly what your dreams would be for as far as camper van motorhome comes in at. What is your sort of budget and what do you think, or what are you thinking of getting? Is it going to be a motorhome, camper van?
My budget is very limited. It would be between 15 and 20,000 at the very most.
That's a substantial amount of money. That's still a decent.
Yeah, that'd be my life.
You should get a decent van. Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm looking more that I want a self-contained motorhome.
Yeah.
That's all kitted out and like winterized and everything, which would suit my disability a lot better. I'm certainly not interested in a panel van. Not that I've got anything against panel vans, but that's just not for me.
Yeah.
And as far as people saying that panel vans, oh, we get a panel van because it's more stealthy, I don't think it's stealthy when you got solar panels on the roof.
No, when you've got a log burner going.
Log burner, and you got mud racks on the back and everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And I think that's a lot more dangerous as well, because you're parked up somewhere and people think there's tools in your van.
Yeah.
You think it's a work.
Yeah. So do you think there's sort of a prejudice between the traditional full-time van lifer in sort of like the Transit Luton painted green with sort of side windows compared to somebody in a more prestigious camper van like mine? Because I'm not the sort of the person that would really you'd see as a portraying a full-time van lifer. I'm a bit sort of an outsider as far as I go. I think I'm not the long-haired guy with big beard and matte green van. What's your thoughts on why are you choosing a motorhome over a panel van?
Well, a motorhome for me looks nicer, more practical for me, for
Yeah.
my personality. I think there'd be a lot less stigma attached to having a motorhome than a panel van.
Yeah.
A panel van, people like that don't know anything about van life, and me including years ago, would have looked at a panel van parked up on the street or even on a campsite and gone, oh yeah, they're land pirates or something, you know.
So just going with that right now. So you know, you've obviously done quite a bit of research into van life, and you know the difference between motorhomes and somebody that's living in a van, and you'd probably spot a van lifer in a matte green van or grey van, should I say, with a chimney on the top. You'd spot that a mile away. If that pulled up outside your house, would you have an issue with that? If they were like coming regularly and parking outside your house?
Not now. Years ago I would have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, years ago I'd have been like, oh crikey, they're lowering the tone on the neighbourhood and everything. Because I was working, got my own house, and I was thinking, I didn't know anything about van life.
So going on the lowering the tone of the neighbourhood, do you think me pulling up outside your house, you would give me any more sort of leniency rather than a dirty looking?
Anyway.
No, I mean, if the van pulled up if my van pulled up outside your house, would you have an issue with that, or would you have more of an issue against the matte green van of the traditional van lifer?
Originally, I would have had more of an issue with the panel van, the green van,
Yeah.
than a motorhome, because you associate a motorhome with somebody who's done well for themselves and has spent it and looking after the van.
Yeah. What about the horse box, the 7.5 ton horse box? Would you have an issue with something like that pulling up outside? I think. Hold up. To be honest, I think even if I had an house and a 7.5 ton horse box parked outside with like 2 or 3 of them in a line, I think even I'd have a problem with it.
The horse box, I'd be out with my bucket and spade asking if I can have some manure, because I presumably they had horses.
Right.
And I want manure for my garden.
So you've just said at one point you would have been biased against the van pulling up outside, and now you've sort of changed your policy on that. Why? Why have you changed your mind?
Mainly because of circumstances in life and because of YouTube. Where people have criticised van lifers in YouTube putting their life out there, I think it's been a good thing in a lot of ways, because it shows real life. It shows that they're all not like scoundrels that have come to rob your neighbourhood just because they're parked up.
And some of them might just drive a lot of miles and make you a bacon sandwich in the forest somewhere and a cup of tea.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's getting a bit like Iraq in here, a bit dry like desert. But
have you drunk it?
Nearly. But yeah, they're normal people. Now, if a van pulls up, and which sometimes in the little village, and I am in a little village, people have moaned, people in the village, oh look, there's a van, somebody in a van. Well, rather than me saying that anymore, now I would be tending to knock on the side of the van and say, you alright mate, do you need some water? Do you need filling up on your tanks?
Yeah.
I said, because YouTube has opened my eyes to, they're just normal people.
Yeah.
They're just normal people that are trying to get by in life.
So I'm going to make another cup of tea, then I'm going to maybe find somewhere to give him his first taste of really driving a much larger vehicle, because he was quite intimidated by the size, wasn't you?
Even as a passenger, sitting in the passenger coming down here, I was like, oh my god, it's so high, I feel like I'm on a double-decker bus.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've never driven anything bigger than a little estate car, like a Skoda. What state the man is going to be in when we get back home, I have no idea. I think Mark's very brave letting me behind that wheel. We'll have to wait and see.
Really nice meeting you, Spudman. Thanks for coming along and having the interview. And we'll see if we can get a bit of footage of you driving the van and see what your thoughts are and your impression of driving a larger vehicle. Yeah,
thanks Mark. Thanks for coming over and seeing me and giving me my first taste of van life. Yeah. And this is hopefully what I'm going to look forward to.
Right, so first time in a 6 metre long van. Hopefully we're not going to have any disasters here.
Oh my god.
How's your nerves?
I'm going to need new underpants when I get home.